Well, this used to be my old stomping ground. Oh, I don't know, 25 years ago. I used to live in a little place called, well, a little town called Arnold. This is one where I used to come out or go back on. There's less traffic in those days, you know. A question I get asked, never really. What's the difference? Excuse me. What's the difference What's the difference, Wolfie, biking in the 80s to now, which is sort of 35 years ago? Well, I will answer that question that I'm never asked, and it's not a lot. I think the bikes have got lighter and more powerful. In some respects better looking, in other respects not. And I'm talking of probably the early 80s, you know, the Suzuki Katanas and the CBR 1100R like Dave Hunter's. Superb looking machines. And in the day they were the superbike, they were fast, you know. But they were heavy. I'm not letting you out because you're smelly. And obviously very collectible nowadays. And a sort of 1000cc, 1100cc bike now has probably got near on twice the power, you know, it's half the weight. So I think bikes are better, yeah, definitely. Safer, yeah, we've got ABS and 12 pot double calipers up front and all this sort of stuff, you know. And the bike's handled better nowadays. So why do you buy old bikes then, Wolfie? That's another question I never get asked. I like riding them. I like the feeling of this nostalgia, I suppose, isn't it? Takes you back, and they challenge you, I suppose. You sort of ride a bike that maybe you cut your teeth on 30 odd years ago, and then ride it, and you, well, not only it takes you back on the nostalgia trip, but you then realise how crap they probably were. Slow and bad brakes and all the rest of it. So you have to adapt your style. Makes you a better rider, maybe, I don't know. But it's just fun. It's nice having old bikes, and I think you need a mix, old and new. I think it would do my head in having one or other, to be honest. All new bikes would have to be the way if you're going to go that way, but all old bikes, I don't know if you could trust sort of going touring on them. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. They're more likely to break down than a newer bike, aren't they? So, and there's parts availability, and if it's a particular desirable classic, do you want to be riding it into the ground? Probably not. So, God, it's busy today. So yeah, I think a good mix of old and new is ideal, to be honest. I don't think you need many old bikes. One would probably be enough. Another question I'm never asked is, what's your perfect bike collection, Wolfie? Well, it would be a minimum of 3. The perfect, and I haven't got this collection, by the way, not effectively anyway. I think one would be a sort of standard, either a naked, retro, somebody could tour on probably. Nice. Let's say Suzuki Bandit, for example. That sort of naked or slightly fared bike, comfortable, somebody could do a few miles on. And another bike in the stable, I think, would have to be a a super sports. Now that could be a classic, of course. That could be like a Kawasaki KR1S or an RGV 250. But let's say it's modern. Something like a CBR 600RR would be, I would think, probably a perfect sports bike, or if you can afford it, you know, a Panigale or MV Agusta or something, you know, something radical that you can only do like 50 miles on before you're doubled up in agony. This is why you need a comfy bike. You see where I'm going now, don't you? And if you've got green lanes to go on, then obviously an off-roader which is road legal, because you've got to get to the lane, haven't you? And a lot of these public byways, it's got to be a legal bike to go down around it, otherwise the police get you and squish your bike, apparently, because that's what they do. So yeah, that would be the smallest perfect garage, I would think. So there's no classics in there, unless your sports bike was a classic. And then if you wanted to add to it, then, you know, the odd classic or two. In the touring naked one I mentioned, a cruiser, you know, that would probably be alright if you like that sort of thing, hauling. I always said when I got a Harley, you need a sports bike as an antidote for it, and vice versa, basically. Because just one particular bike just kind of get on your wick sometimes. It's not all things to all people, is it? I mean, I know these cruisers are getting better, like the Dival and that sort of thing, but you know, your foot forward position is no, it's all right, but it's not 100% me. I suppose the best bike is obviously one with a normal riding position, like a Hornet or a Bandit or MT, yeah, MT-09. Just the comfort of the seat and the rear, the foot pegs are way they're a little bit backward, but you get used to that. If you had a comfy seat, you could go a fair way on it. I think you can get comfy seats for them, but anyway, so yeah, that would be a perfect collection. And I suppose the Missenden Flyer, he's got his big GS as a touring bike, he's got his Panigale for super sports, he's got a Triumph Street Triple for a bit of a hoon, and then he's got his CR Honda for green laning. So yeah, I mean, he's got a good old modern collection there, you know. I don't know if he's got any classics lurking, I've not heard, but yeah, they got to throw a classic in the mix, haven't you? Only needs to be 15 years old for a classic, you know. So a lot of us are riding classics, we might not even know.
Oh, the rising sun. You're like a constant place.
We're in Arnold, where obviously I used to live, and I lived here for, I don't know, 10 years or so, maybe more. And Arnold Library, which hasn't changed a fat lot. And every Saturday used to be my pilgrimage. And this is in the 80s, early 80s. Used to go down and get several books on, you guessed it, motorcycling. How to be safer, how to ride better. Also just sometimes just the history of, you know, the makes and that sort of thing. I did that for years, and that, I suppose they did do IAM in those days, but it wasn't as widespread or advertised as it is now. I never did one, and I will have to do it, but yeah, that's how I got to know a little bit more on what's right and wrong. And as you can see from my pass riding just now, don't always get it right. You never stop learning, that's the thing. And I've got so much to learn still, and so much I want to learn. I want to do Gav's track day next year. Go to Ron Haslam's school because, although I've been on a racetrack, nobody's ever showed me. Nobody's ever said, right, you do this, this, and that's your line, and all the rest of it. I just copied over everybody else. So, don't make it faster than anybody else, does it really? The only time then you can be faster is taking more risks, and I'm a bit of a wuss when it comes to taking risks. That's a weird thing. So yeah, that'll be good. Having a proper racer telling you how to race. Not that I'm going to race, but I might do the odd track day. You never know. Well, I'm building my racer, aren't I? So I want to do parading and classic parading. So I'll be giving it the beans. The bike might be 40 years old, but it will still do, well, hopefully do about 120, 130. It'll be a bit vibey and a bit rattly, but I'm sure it'll get there.